Thank you all for being here. I see Tammy's here, Justin's here, Mila's here also. The rest is here also. Please let me know in the live chat. Let this be interactive. I made a live stream earlier today, and I'm making a second one right now. And in this live stream, I want to discuss the topic of public stupidity. Because when you listen to a lot of conspiracy theorists, they may tell you that, well, the public is stupid. The public takes everything. They call the public sheeple or whatever. But let me tell you one thing. When you know how social sciences operate, when you know how communities function, and when you have spirit understanding of how human beings operate on a spirit level, you'll realize very quickly that there's no such thing as public stupidity. Now, there is such thing as stupid behavior amongst the public. There is such a thing as the public just pretending to not know anything. But when it comes with public stupidity, which means the inability to perceive what goes on, it does not exist. It doesn't exist at all. Now, I see Bridget joined, the mentor joined also. Let me share the screen with you. Before I go into the topic, I'm going to show you an example of why I tell you that public stupidity cannot exist. Okay, let me share the screen. Hold on. Wait, you don't see it? Hold on, let me increase this a little bit. All right. Can you all see this? All right. Hold on. The reason I ask is sometimes, for example, yesterday I made a live stream and suddenly the audio wasn't working. So that's why I asked about time. Can you see this? Okay. Suntarai says he can. Okay. So does the rest see it also with the screen I'm sharing? In any case, this country existed. Galicia. There are two Galicias. You have the Kingdom of Galicia over here. So let me show you that very quickly. The Kingdom of Galicia was a country, was constituent nation of Spain. Because as you know, Spain consists out of various kingdoms that act as one unit, Spain to foreigners. So in 1833, the Kingdom of Galicia became a autonomous region of Spain. So it lost the kingdom. It went from being a separate constituent country into a region of Spain. But then you also had this other area called Galicia in Europe, and it was called the Kingdom. The full name of the area was Kingdom of Galicia and Lodomeria and the Grand Duchy of Krakow with the duchies of Auschwitz and Sator. Yes, Auschwitz used to be a duchy. A duchy is a military zone in a forest area. A Grand Duchy is when you have an enormous forest region that's run by a military administrator. So this country, Galicia and Lodomeria, or some saying Austrian Galicia, it was established in 1772. It lasted till 1918, that means after the end of the First World War. This used to be a prosperous nation in Europe, and it was part of Austria and later Austria-Hungary because the Kingdom of Hungary and the Empire of Austria united together. So it was a crown land. So the Emperor of Austria was also the king of this kingdom, just like Bohemia, well, to today called the Czech Republic, was also a kingdom called Bohemia back then. So this country, after the Second World War, it ceased to exist because this country had Polish people living in it, Ukrainians, Hungarians, and Germans. So you had four ethnicities living there that was part of this nation. This was the parliament building of it. Look at the flag that they established for this country. When you look at the flag of Poland, guess what? It's not the same, but it's the flag of Poland turned upside down with a deviation in the red color. That's what it is. Now, yes, the Ukrainians and Polish began to fight one another, and eventually was divided between the Republic of Poland and the Republic of West Ukraine, which later became the Soviet Republic of Ukraine, and today is the nation Ukraine. Now, why am I talking about this country? I'm not going to talk about this country too long, but think about it. In 1918, the chief warlocks in politics abolished a whole nation. The whole empire of Austria-Hungary was abolished. So you had Czechoslovakia that came into existence. Galicia was divided in the kingdom was abolished. Hungary was decreased in size. So Romania received a part of received Transylvania from Hungary. So they just did all of that. Now think about it. The public back then got along with a country, Galicia, being abolished. They got along with it. And suddenly they were all just Polish or they were all just Ukrainians. And a lot of the German people moved out. Today, when you talk about Galicia, most people think you talk about this region in Spain. Let me call it Galicia. Hold on, let me find out if I can do this. No, but you get it. Let me type it in. Galicia. If you say Galicia today, people think you talk about this region of Spain over here. And by the way, Galician Spanish deviates from Common Spanish. Here it is. But almost nobody remembers this nation over here, which was quite prosperous. Now, let us get through to you. This nation was abolished. Much of the history kind of became concealed. They did many forget spells so people could forget about this kingdom. But hey, in historical records, they couldn't remove it from history. So when you go to history, you can find back this nation existed. Now understand this. If they're willing to put forget spells on the public, forget about some of the heritage of their ancestors, white ancestors, and if the public just accepted it, how many more things are the public willing to accept? Back then, the people from this area, they knew very well they were being robbed. Yet the Republic of Poland back then was not a very competent country that had issues against the Germans, wanted to take over all of it, and yet the Ukrainians thinking finally the Russian Empire is crashing, we can get our own country. And the public had to choose. Either if you're Polish, you join the Polish side. If you're Ukrainian, you join the Ukrainian side. There's no Galicia anymore. The question is, why didn't people fight to retain their country? Because obviously they knew that fighting for this country is useless. So you know what? Let's just get along. Look, when the public realizes that something is useless or that something is not worth the fight, they will make excuses to abandon it. Yes, the Galician people, no matter from which ethnicity, whether they were Polish, Ukrainian, German, or Hungarian, they forfeited their homeland. That's why even history, you don't even hear much about this nation. All right? Now, let's forget about this political nonsense over here. I call it nonsense because they shouldn't just abandon your homeland, but hey, worldlings tend to do things like that. Now I want to talk to you about cold cases because I want to relate this to the more local things. Now, I found this online I won't say database, but an archive that shows unsolved murder cases in the United Kingdom. So I went through a full list, a bigger list on, and you can see it. Where they don't have a picture of the individual, they put this illustration over there. So I went through some of these files and I encountered this one over here. I know what caught me about this female victim is the name, Daniela Espírito Santo. Espírito, Espírito Santo is Portuguese for Holy Spirit. Well, one thing is for sure, she was not led by the Holy Spirit. Because if she was led by the Holy Spirit, she would have been alive till this day. She wouldn't have gone through this horrible fate that happened to her. This location where the crime happened, or let me change this like to this. So let me zoom out. You can see where in Britain it is. As you can see, it's close to um, Nottingham, close to Derby. By the way, Derby has a lot of crime, and there's a lot of paranormal activity happening in Derby. So just so you know. There's a believer that just moved away from there. He's also one of the subscribers. I won't mention names, but there's a believer that had to leave that place because they were after him. And well, that's what happened. So if you realize that this area is not that big, it's like a small community over there. Let me show it from the sky. Hold on. Ah, that's better. Hold on. See the place where the crime happened. It's not a big community, as you can see over there. Houses are close together, all of that. So the whole area, I won't say everyone is close knit, but it's not that big. It's not like it's an enormous city or anything like that. So this developed my interest into, okay, let me just see if I can use this case for the life of tonight. All right, so I type in the name. So a lot of people have written about it. There are also people making sensational memes and all of that. I'm not going into that right now. Let's go to what the news, the official news is saying about it. So, all right, let's start. Man, how do I get rid of these ads all the time? Okay, let me check. Oh, finally, the ad is gone. Okay, by the way, can you all hear me clearly still? Because I don't want to happen like yesterday that the all just fades in and out. Can you all hear me? Can you please confirm it to me? Let me know, please, in the live chat. All right. You can hear me. That is good. So let's start. Daniela Espírito Santo, as pronounced in a Portuguese pronunciation. All right. Then Daniela Espírito Santo reported partner to police 7 times before death. Hmm. That was from the 30th of August 2021. So it's less than a year ago because we're not into August 2022 yet. Just a recent thing. Here is oh Lord, stop seeing this ad. Okay, bye bye Google. Okay, here it says below the picture, Daniel Esperanto reported, okay, 7 times in less than a year before that. So in 2020. Oh, she died in 2020. Oh, that's 2 years ago. Hold on a minute. So from 2019 till 2020, 7 times throughout the year, she reported her partner to the police for domestic violence. Okay. Now, let's continue. I'm going to make this bigger. You know what? I'm not even going to fight that ad. That ad keeps popping up, but anyway. Okay, let's see if it's big enough. Okay, good. No standards were breached by police when a woman died while on hold reporting a domestic assault, a watchdog has said. They made this bold, so they want you to notice it. So they're protecting the police over here of an alleged accusation of neglect. Okay, let's continue. Daniela Espírito Santo, 23, from Grantham, reported partner Julio Jesus for attacking her while on bail for another assault the same day. So hold on. Julio Jesus, or Jesus, they have the name of Julius Caesar and Christ Jesus together. But anyway, whoever named their son this way, that's on them. This individual attacked this woman and killed her, allegedly. So he was on bail for assaulting someone the same day. Let's go further. He was charged with manslaughter, but was dropped over lack of evidence linking the attack and her death. He was instead charged with assault and jailed for 10 months. A report by the Independent Office for Police Conduct, IOPC, IO is EO, is ancient Greek for son. So, yeah, they love to use short names that have a relationship to the son called Apollo. But anyway, which was leaked to the New York Times. Hold on a minute. Why should the New York Times be involved concerning something that happened in Britain? Okay, detailed 7 calls from Miss Espirito Santo about her partner between May 2019 and April 2020. Oh, let's continue. During her final 999 call on 8th of April 2020, she reported being attacked hours after Jesus has been released on police bail for an assault earlier that day in which he pinned her down and pushed his arm against her throat. So this guy attacked another individual the same day, but police released him on bail. Wouldn't you at least keep someone for 24 hours if they were arrested for assaulting someone? So he assaults someone, and you guys release him on bail the same day. Okay. The 999 call handler deemed the call as the call non-urgent as Jesus had left the home and told Miss Santo to ring back on the non-emergency 101 number. So hold on a minute. A woman is attacked. She couldn't tell you during the attack because she was under attack. She calls the emergency number, but the one that handled the phone call considered it not non-urgent because the perpetrator was gone. Of course, the perpetrator is gone. Hello, you don't have a chance to call the emergency number if the perpetrator is there. Of course, the perpetrator won't allow you to call the number if he's there. Okay. 8 minutes later, when the non-emergency call handler answered, so the woman called the other number, all the handler could hear were distraught cries of a baby. When the police forced entry to Miss Espirito Santos' flat, they found her slumped on a sofa, cradling her 6-month-old son. Here, Danielle Espirito Santo died while on hold to report a second attack by her partner in one day. Following her death, Julio Jesus was arrested on suspicion of manslaughter. A post-mortem examination found Mr. Santo had died from a pre-existing heart condition and that there was a possible link between the stress of the assault and her heart failing. However, after further reviewing medical evidence, the Crown Prosecution Service, CPS, said it did not believe it could sufficiently prove an evidential link between the assault and her death and dropped the manslaughter charge. A spokeswoman for the CPS said Julio Jesus was originally charged with the manslaughter of Daniel Espirito Santo on the basis that his action that day triggered a fatal complication from a pre-existing heart condition. As the case neared trial and following review of further expert medical reports, it became apparent we could not prove an evidential link between Miss Santos' tragic heart failure and what occurred that day between her and Mr. Jesus. Oh, Jesus is the last name, okay? We contacted Miss Santos' family to explain the way the evidence in this case led to this conclusion. Our thoughts and sympathies are with her loved ones at this difficult time, the spokeswoman said. Instead, Jesus was convicted for 2 assaults and jailed. Hold on a minute. Okay, let me finish reading this, then we're going into this. Charlie Price Wallace, a friend of Mr. Espirito Santos, has called for greater protection for victims of domestic abuse who are scared to press charge against their partners. They had records of 7 incidents which contained 10 attacks that Danny had disclosed and yet didn't see a pattern or do anything about it. We need to make sure her name her name means something, that she didn't die in vain. Okay, that's Charlie Price Wallace over there. Okay, let's continue. Copies of police reports in the IOPC investigation show how the abuse escalated over the course of a year from threats to kill to controlling and coercive behavior and strangulation. The IOPC also found that Lincolnshire police had not failed in any other standards during multiple contacts with Ms. Espirito Santo. However, the IOPC said there was a learning recommendation in relation to the need for a force-wide written policy on when to transfer calls directly to non-emergency 111 service rather than asking people to call back themselves, and any actions to be taken by 911 operators when taking that action. A spokeswoman for Lincolnshire Police said it would not be possible to comment until the conclusion of an inquest into Ms. Santos' death. A domestic homicide review, which is a multi-agency review of the circumstances in which a person's death has or appears to have resulted from violence, abuse, or neglect by a person to whom they were in an intimate partner relationship, is on the way. Now, long article. Okay, what is wrong with this case? Let me know in the live chat. What is wrong in this case? Now, I'll give you 2 minutes. There are a lot of things that are wrong, but please, I give you the word now. I give you 2 minutes to tell me what you think. What is the main thing that's wrong in this case? Mention to me, please. Thank you very much. Let me know in the live chat. I'll wait. I'll wait for another minute. Let me know, what do you think? What is the main thing that's wrong in this case? Okay, doesn't matter, Justin. I'll wait just for 50 seconds more to see who answers. Then I'm going into it. Why am I discussing these cases with you? Because I want you to learn to see the root of an issue. Too often we focus on the symptoms, but it's important to notice the root of an issue as soon as possible. So once you know the root of the issue, now you know what to actually address. If you don't know the root of an issue, you'll be addressing the consequences of an issue, but the issue remains. I cannot stand that the name of our Lord and Savior is involved in this case. But anyway, if that's his last name, that's his last name. All right. Okay. Let me tell you what I noticed about this case that really struck me. Here it is. She reported her boyfriend 7 times in less than a year. And those 7 times of reports included 10 attacks. Now, hold on a minute. Look, I'm not here to smear anyone's name or anything like that. I'm just here to be factual. And I have a right to be factual about public things are published in public. Now, I'm not putting any judgment on the people involved yet or anything like that. What I'm pointing out is that, hold on a minute, this was a mother. She had a baby, okay? And this man, he was violent towards her, despite the fact that there was a baby involved. So this man had no decency to consider the fact that this was the mom of a young child, that he may be affecting the child with his bad behavior. How come this man was able to continuously harass this woman over a long period of time? And he also assaulted and harassed other people. How is that possible? So there's a pattern of victimization over here. That's the first thing you'll notice about this case. Now, apart from this root, which is a pattern of victimization, there's another thing you need to ask. Where were the other people? Where were the friends and the associates of the partner? Where are the relatives of the partner? Sure, if someone has loose hands towards females, they will be addressed by some of the people around them. But if this man had loose hands towards women, where did he got that from? He did not come from out of the womb with a desire to hit women. Where the desire came from? No, I'm not excusing what he was doing to this woman, nor to other people. I'm just saying, where did this desire to hit women came from? Who who shaped this dysfunction into him? So whoever shaped this dysfunction into him also nurtured and nourished this dysfunction. So this isn't just one guy being an asshole harassing a female. This man was the result of the community that brought him forth, and the community failed on various areas. I mean, no man is born with a desire to hit anyone. Just remember, as a man, you came out of a woman, your mom. So if you have this urge in you to hit a female, somewhere things went wrong and the community didn't intervene to get you the help you needed. Now, I'm not saying that the the perpetrator is off the hook. No, he's not. Because as an adult, you should face yourself in the mirror and want to improve and be better. But if this guy was an actual narcissist or actually a bad guy, the only way he could continue to act out like that is if he was enabled by the people all around him. So where are the bystanders of this perpetrator? Why aren't they addressed? Okay, another thing. A baby was involved. People should where was the decency of the community to make sure the baby was safe? The baby is part of the community. If the parents are stupid, well, that's on the parents. But the baby should not suffer because of the stupidity of the parents. Where was the community to make sure the baby was in a safe environment? Where were they? And it brings me to another thing in this case. How come this woman didn't just cut all ties with this man? Oh, Rashid, maybe he's the father of the baby, and maybe that's why. But hold on. The moment a man lay hands on you to violate you, either he gets help immediately with long-term therapy, and only after it's proven that he is recovering and becoming better, then you will continue with him. But you will not excuse a man laying hands on you to relieve himself. No, you do not excuse that. Why was she willing to tolerate this? But she did report him. Yeah, she reported him multiple times. They will say, but the police didn't actually their job properly. Look, if the man, if the man really attacked her in a very hard way, he would have been in prison. Unless the police, and I'm not standing for the police over here, unless the police sees that there's a wrong dynamic on both parts. Because I have to say there are women who enable others victimizing them. I'm not blaming the victim over here. I'm just saying that it's not always that when someone is victimized that they're completely innocent of what happened. If you see danger and you don't get yourself out of danger, you are part of what's going on against you. That doesn't mean that you deserve what happened to you. No, but you should admit your part and make sure you improve your act so you won't endanger yourself. Someone asks, what an instinct is a girlfriend or boyfriend, by the way? Well, this is Danina Espiritu Santo over here. Let's look Julio Jesus. Hold on. Some disruption happens again. Praise God. I'll continue with the live stream. So, wait. Julio Jesus. Now, here, man named and charged with manslaughter. Here he is. Grantham. Remember, Grantham was the, how to say, location mentioned over here. So let's do this. And glad your cross question will work. I hope I'm not wrong, but let's wait and see. Yes. Police have formally named the victim of the murder investigation as Daniela Espiritu Santo, age 23, of Chestnut Grove, Grantham, as they've been charged with two. Hear me? Because and the victim is white or either a light-skinned mestiza. Okay, can you all hear me now? Can you all hear me? Let me know. All right. I close on some of the tabs as some suggested. All right. Now, in this case, could it be that the ethnic composition of those involved may have played a role? Hey, I'm just putting it out there. What if it was a Pakistani or a Somali guy who was actually called upon because he was harassing this white female? Do you he would have been able to do it over and over again, being released over and over again? Do you think that would have happened? Please ask questions related to the topic, please. Do you think that if this was a Pakistani or Somali guy or some guy from India that did this to this woman, could he have done it over and over again? Nope, he wouldn't have been able to do that. But look, because he appeared to be like a common Englishman, for some reason they believed his word. They gave him the benefit of the doubt. Now, some say, Rashid, why do you racialize this case? No, 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 no. You need to see things for what they are. I know for sure if he was African or from African ancestry and she would call, say, this guy's harassing me, he would have not been released on bail. He would have at least spent a few months. He would have been a few months from the streets. They may even deport him if he was not a British citizen. So understand the following: the public is not stupid. The public picks up what goes on around them. The public can pick up when something is off. And the public also sees what's at stake. Now, let me explain it to you. In white supremacy, by the way, I'm not calling nor the victim nor the perpetrator white supremacist. I'm just saying they grew up in the United Kingdom, a country that's been infested with white supremacy, a country which was and still is a big stakeholder of racism. As simple as that. So white supremacy does affect how the public responds to what happens around them. As simple as that. So let's go over there right now. In white supremacy, the purpose is to project all the insecurities of the white environment, as they call it, to the outside or to the border of the community. So you have what they consider white trash. Those are European people that failed in life, and those are the ones that you can look down upon, saying, "Man, they're white, but they're not really that worthy. They're useless eaters, whatever." So those are what you call those at the border of the white of the white race. That's the thinking of white supremacy. And in white supremacy, if a white individual is victimized by a non-white individual, automatically you highlight this because this is an attack on the whole group, especially if the victim is a female. But if the white female is victimized by one of our own, that's how white supremacy thinks, which another white male, then we treat it as an internal issue, depending on who the woman is. If the woman is considered white trash, who cares? If she's considered a prime white female, then absolutely we need to guard her. That is the thinking and reasoning of white supremacy. But as much as possible, you project all the insecurities of the community at the border. And the public understands this fairy tale called white supremacy bonds us as a community and makes us motivated in daily life. So the public relies on the white fairy tale to be motivated in daily life because they can project everything on their own victims that they call white trash or at those outside of the community. I explained before in another live stream that white supremacy is actually a sexual dysfunction, but I'm not going into that in this video, even though live stream, even though it relates to it. So when a white female is victimized, the one thing those on the white supremacy will do is they'll check, who is she? Is she single? Is she married? Uh, is she sexually loose? Is she not sexually active? Or is she turned out into sodomy? The first thing they do is check whether this situation is a threat to their public peace. That's what they do. And if the female is not considered of high importance, Now, under white supremacy, all European women are considered of importance, but some are considered more than others. If they consider a woman not to be of high importance, they will be easy on whoever attacked her. So the public will not be so upset, especially when it's done by their own males. And if the man that does it has a has is considered a prime white male or a white male with esteem, they automatically will um, pretend to forget what he did to this other white female. This is how white supremacy behaves towards their own. So in this case, for over a year, this woman was in danger. But the community around did not act on her behalf. Why they act on her behalf? It is because they did not consider her that valuable. As simple as that. She had a baby, remember? So they thought in their mind, oh, this is a single mom. Oh, this woman failed in life. She couldn't get to a prime male. Oh, she's an embarrassment for the white race. Oh, you know what? Let's consider her white trash. We don't call her openly like that, but let's consider her that way. Now, not everyone considered it that way. Friends and relatives absolutely didn't, but the public I'm talking about. The public did not esteem her life. Why? Because they didn't see any benefit that they could get from her life. That's what it comes down to. Oh, but now that she is murdered, oh, now they now people are so shocked. Now the public is so upset. Now the public is outraged. But hold on a minute. Why aren't we addressing the fact that this woman reported men 7 times, she was attacked 10 times, but the guy was still walking the streets? Oh, but they're sure to tell you that the police didn't do anything wrong. Why? Because in white supremacy, the police is the enforcer of this white fairy tale. So if you have to blame the white police corps, then you actually are blaming the enforcement of this white fairy tale. And that's something the public doesn't want. So they had to make sure they clear the police from any responsibility. Now the police is responsible for now the police is responsible how they mishandled the case. Well, I haven't gone into whether it was his baby or not. I'm not going to presume anything over here, but even if it wasn't his baby, if it wasn't his baby, it would have been even worse. Because where would be the actual father of the baby or family of that baby? So whether it was his baby or someone else's baby, it's still quite disturbing that the public just allowed this to happen. So understand the following: the public is not stupid. The public can clearly see when something is not in their best interest. If the public gets along with something that's not in their best interest, it's because there's something else they're preserving. And that something else is often the delusion to hold on to. So, this is not the only case in where you can see that the public did not esteem the life of the victim. You can clearly see that the public had all the opportunity to save, to rescue this woman and to intervene. They did not do it. So, understand this: the public out there will always pretend to be innocent of all the wrong happens in their community. But hold on a minute, if something goes wrong in your community, it's up to you as the community members to do something about it. As simple as that. Haven't you noticed the public always acts surprised when something bad happens? Anytime there's breaking news because someone has been killed or they found bodies or a massacre, people are so shocked. Let me tell you, that's theater. A lot of the public shock you see is just theater to make others believe that they're truly innocent people who had no idea what was going on in their community. They knew something was wrong. They just didn't care about doing something about it because they didn't see any benefit in it for them. Look, I'm not saying that everyone is like this. Absolutely not. Not every worldling is a narcissist who's only after their own relief. But worldlings do have a relief-seeking attitude, all of them. So here, this case is a perfect example of the public not seeing any benefit in them intervening. So they allowed it to happen. So understand this. This woman wasn't just killed by whoever attacked her. In this case, this guy. She was killed by the community that didn't value her life. And now that baby grows up without the baby's mother. So they also harmed they also brought a generational conflict now because that baby has to be adopted, and that baby will find out later that his or her mom, well, got killed. So understand this: your own people can get you killed. What I mean is your own community where you are. Your own community can get you killed. And that's why we as believers are told that Christ sends us as sheep amongst wolves. Because I can guarantee you one thing: if this woman was the daughter of some wealthy businessman that was well liked by the community, or if this woman was part of a church that was known to be quite radical, people would have been interested. Because if she was part of some cult that was quite persistent, that everyone will realize, you know what, this woman is being bothered. If we don't intervene, the church may intervene. It's going to get quite wild around here. So let's do something about it. Oh, her father is this well-known businessman making a lot of money. You know what? If we treat her daughter well, we may get some favor from this man or his business partners. If there was any benefit, even symbolic, that the public could get out of her, she would have still been alive today. Look, I know these are things people don't want to talk about, but we have to address these things. The public pretends to be stupid, like they have no clue what goes on. They're lying. Now, there are individuals who don't know what goes on. That can be the case, but the public as a whole, they get warning signals anytime things are wrong in their community. They just are not interested in facing that they have issues that have to be dealt with in their community. They just want to escape. That's it. The only time the public will intervene on your behalf is when there's something in it for them, whether symbolically they get a pat on the back, or maybe it's financially or sexually. That's why often people are more likely to stand up for a woman that claims to be victimized than for a man. Because from a woman, they may get sexual attention or sexual intercourse. From a man, they think, oh, what can I get out of you? Hey, I'm telling the truth. When men report domestic violence, they're seldom taken seriously. When a woman does, people take it seriously immediately because people have been trained to behave that way. Because why? If you are known to help out a pretty woman, it will give you good esteem amongst others. If you are known to help out another man, people will think, was that man not manly enough to defend himself? And you'll be seen as a loser for helping a man that couldn't even defend himself. So discrimination doesn't only happen based on skin color or ethnic background. Discrimination also happens within your own community based on what revenue people based on a psychological revenue people can get out of you. If people can get a lot of psychological revenue out of you, you are guaranteed they will pamper you and carry you around. If they don't perceive any psychological revenue out of you, then they will abandon you like you never existed. And that is what happened to this woman. It's her best friends and her relatives who kept this case in remembrance. Because as you can see, the government was kind of done with the case. Look, even if the woman had a heart condition, if she was attacked multiple times by this guy, the attacks from this man obviously contributed to stress levels in her life that led to her dying. So, if she was under stress and the stress killed her, it triggered her health condition, who brought her all that stress? Yeah, you got it. The guy that kept attacking her. Then why is the guy not charged? Oh, it is what I just told you. She was not considered of high psychological value to the public. That's why the public let it go like that. And that's why. Let's forget um about this case right now. Hold on, let me just go over here. Let's forget about that case. Anytime an individual is not esteemed by their community, that individual's life will be in danger. So it's the community that's in on harm happening to that individual. So this case of Daniela Espiritu Santo, uh, I'm sorry to tell you, but it's an inside job. The community was in on it. There's no other way I can say the community was in on it. And often people have a hard time. People have a hard time admitting that something is an inside job. Can something happen and it's not being an inside job? It can happen. Unfortunately, in the world, tragic things happen suddenly too from time to time. But most of the time, when tragedy or misfortune hits, it's the public that's in on it. That's how it goes. And this doesn't only happen amongst Europeans, it happens amongst Africans, Indians, Chinese, it happens amongst Native Americans, it happens amongst worldlings. That's why the Bible says your enemies shall be members of your own household. Household doesn't only refer to your actual household where you live in that house. That means your wife, your children, people that live in your house. Household simply means your kin, your local community, those around you. That's why cold cases become cold cases because the police can clearly see that the public does not want this to be resolved. Simple as that. So that's why on my channel, I exposed the fairy tale that's called white privilege, which signifies if you're born white, you automatically have a great advantage in life. That's not the case at all. White privilege is a fairy tale that gives you a leverage in comparison to non-white individuals in cases when it comes to financial opportunity. That's when it matters because white supremacy always wants to preserve their Greek devil worship. So anyone who looks like the Greek gods is favored based on that. But at the same time, you're also exploited by the same white supremacists. So you being born white does not automatically mean you have an advantage in life. That's not true. Because many of these victims are white and they were set up by their own white people. Yep, it happens. So if you have neo-Nazis or any type of white supremacist group thinking that just because they're from European ancestry, they have an advantage in life, I'm sorry, but they're delusional. And that's why, just like Mila said in the live chat, Mila said try to find communities where you can cheerfully contribute in order to keep your psychological value high. That's the best thing to do. Let me tell you, when I was growing up, because my background was a bit dysfunctional, as already admitted, I'm not hiding it. I've noticed that a lot of the teenagers around me always wanted to be involved in social activities in the community. I thought nothing wrong with that. But I realized that the teenagers were so pressured to be involved in the social activities in the communities. I was thinking, why? Why the stress to be part of the social activities from a community? Is later, while I was a student anthropologist, I understood why. If you are contributing to a community, the community cannot get away neglecting you or ignoring you. If you contribute to a community, they have no choice but to esteem you. It can even be negative esteem. Like people think, who does he think he is? Who does she think she is? Who never nobody asks for their contribution. But if you actually contribute, whether people like you or dislike you, it doesn't matter. You contribute. If they deny your contribution, it will look bad on them. And this is why a lot of witches and warlocks survive so long. A lot of witches and warlocks, they survive so long because they understand the psychology of worldlings. They understand that worldlings, they value your life based on the psychological revenue they get out of you. It's something quite disturbing and quite embarrassing, but that's the fact of daily life. Worldlings, they esteem your life based on the psychological revenue they can get out of you. So witches and warlocks, knowing this, understanding this about the world's population, they make sure that they are involved in the affairs of the community. Sometimes witches and warlocks become gossipers. And you may think, why is this individual gossiping like this? Well, let me tell you, the individual is gossiping because as a gossiper, you are contributing to the community. Let me explain this to you. If you gossip, you reveal what goes on in the community. You give updates what goes on. So even if people come stand you, they will value you unconsciously because they know where this is on in the community. Let's say you have a guy or a woman, but let's say I'm going to use a male example now. Let's say you have a guy who never bothers with anyone. He's a bit antisocial, only keep it to himself. The community will realize this guy is antisocial. He doesn't bother much with other people. He only keeps to himself. So this guy will not even inform us if he notices something goes on. So what benefit do we have with someone who's not willing to look after the community? So yes, they cannot stand the guy that keeps running his mouth all the time, but they prefer to put up with the guy running his mouth because at least they know this guy will warn us indirectly when something goes on. So in this case, the life of the gossiper is valued more than the life of the man who keeps to himself. So the man who keeps to himself thinks, hey, I'm doing the right thing. I mind my own business. I don't bother other people, so people will value me. Well, his thing. People do value him only because this guy does not quote unquote bother them. But at the end of the day, they don't value his life. If the gossiper goes missing, people get horrified because they think, oh crap, what did he know? But if the guy who keeps himself goes missing, people say, oh, he went missing, oh, that's horrible, and they just continue life. So even if the esteem you get from the public is negative, when you're esteemed by the public, that means they value there because your life contributes to them. They perceive you as someone with high psychological value, whether in the positive or the negative. Let me tell you, it's better to be disliked than to be abundant. This may sound ridiculous because if people dislike you, they're projecting negativity on you, right? But here's the thing, if they don't like you, but you're contributing, you already have a leverage over them to make them behave. But if people don't like you and they can get away ignoring you, then you're in trouble. If people see they can ignore you or abandon you and without any consequence coming after them, they're more likely to do it. So this was a male 24, Billy Hanham. And let's look at Bailey Hand was last seen at the party. I'm going to discuss this case very briefly before I close down the live stream. I still want to do this for now. But okay, let's look at the place where it happens. It's near. Oh, It's close to the sea, as you can see in the south of Britain. Yes. So in the south of England, that's where a lot of the wealthy and rich folks live. Not saying that he was wealthy, but okay, let's look at this. Close to the beach, as you can see. So another British guy, Billy Hanham. By the way, is it clear to you why I'm teaching you all of this? I'm not teaching you all of this just to make live streams, because I don't put myself there in public unless there's a benefit for it for the kingdom of God. Because I'm not online to look for publicity, because I don't want publicity from these worldly people who have secret desires to beat me or escalate on me. Some even have plantation fantasies to concerning me. I figured out. So I'm not here to get attention, because I don't rely on the attention from the public for my self-esteem. I do not. I'm in public to teach you and to contribute to the kingdom of God so that you are better off. So again, let's look at this case very quickly over here. Wow, it's a bit more harsh than I realized, but hey, it is what it is. I want you to learn from this. I'm not making this live stream for sensation. I want you to get something out of this that will benefit you in the long run. All right. All right. So taps over here because that may slow down the live stream. All right. It really works. Close down the tabs. Thank you for whoever said it. Okay. Here they showed the face of the suspects and defendants immediately. With the other one, they didn't. Okay, that's another thing. Okay, let's read. Billy Hanham, Brighton New Year's Eve party murders their chilled. Let's read. Four men have been sentenced to a total of 86 years for murdering a kind and peaceful man and New Year's Eve party in Brighton. Okay. Billy Hanham, 24, was last seen on CCTV early on the 1st of January 2020 at a shop in North Street. He was found dead at a nearby disused building the next day. He had been savagely beaten, kicked, stamped on, and struck with a wooden banister spindle, Sussex police said. The four men were sentenced on Friday, having been found guilty in February. Sentencing the four at Hove Crown Court, the judge, Mr. Justice Kavanaugh, said Mr. Hanham, who was back home from university for Christmas, had gone out on his own for the night. They were going to to the route very soon. He spotted a party in a derelict building at about 4:30 GMT and decided to join in. Less than 3 hours later, was found dead. The judge said. Well, my my apologies, believers and saints. For some reason, my browser won't cooperate, but that will be fixed very soon. Okay, finally. So, before we continue reading, what do you notice is wrong already about this case? Let me know in the live chat. I'll wait for 2 minutes for you to answer. I know this live stream takes a bit longer than usual, but this is the last case I'm going through to teach you. Then I'm close on the live stream. But please tell me, what do you notice is off about this case till now? hmm Okay, the place is already a red flag. You know what? Let me read a bit further, okay? He said, as Judge Mr. Hanham was intoxicated but friendly and non-threatening. He was, Mr. Kavanagh said, subject to a prolonged attack during which he was severely beaten. The motive for the assault appeared to have been to punish him for some trifle or imaginary slight, he added. Following the sentencing, Mr. Hanham's father, Ian, said, "We are so angry for what these men did and grateful for the justice they will receive. Sadly, however, no sentence will give us Bill back, but more importantly, it will not give him the chance to make his mark on the world and his fellow dreams in a way that we'll strive to do." Okay, it was the building that they went to and found his body. Police were called to this disused building on the 2nd January 2020 after report a man had been beaten and dropped from a balcony after a party. Whoa, they dropped him from a balcony after beating him. Wow. A post-mortem examination found Mr. Hanham, a university student from Henfield, had more than 60 injuries, including a brain hemorrhage, 11 rib fractures, and extensive cuts and bruisings. For wow, they really went off at him. Forensic evidence showed the attack had started on the 2nd floor of the building before Miss Hannon was dragged to the 1st floor and dropped over railings into a recessed courtyard, says police said. Don Shane Michael, 28, of Hove, and Gregory Hawley, 29, of no fixed address, were both sentenced to life in prison with a minimum term of 25 years. Lamech Gordon Carew, 20, from Hampton, was sentenced to life with a minimum term of 18 years. And Lee Spence, 18, from Croydon, was sentenced to serve a minimum term of 18 years. Departments, okay, I'm not sure what this shorting is. So that sub Alex Carter said today's sentencing of the four men convicted of Bill's murder is a reflection of the senseless and tragic loss of life. We hope Bill's family will be able to find some closure, knowing that his killers are finding behind bars. In a statement, the family said they could not fathom as to why anyone would inflict such cruelty on someone so helpless. They added, "The events of that night have left us with a bell-shaped void in our lives. We strive not to cry too often, but instead smile when we remember his short life, especially because he shared it with us." Now, look at the suspects. Let me go back up. Not suspect, they've been convicted. Look at them. Forget their ethnic background because there's also a white guy amongst them. So it's not about ethnicity over here. Think about it. This was a university student. Okay, this guy was actually working on his future. He was in university. If he would still been alive, he would have graduated, may get a master's degree also, may gotten a job or start his own business, whatever. He was working on his future. And it was around New Year, the end of 2019, early 2020, and this young man just wanted to have a good time at the party. And it happens from time to time that university students just join a party because a lot of those university parties are not on invitation. Some university parties you can just join if you're a student also. Now, even if he was not allowed to the party, could have just called the police and get him out, whatever. But here's the thing, these four men got upset, and they got upset and decided, you know what, let's take this guy out. Let's offload all our issues on this man. Instead of looking for solutions in life, man, just let's beat this man down. He's drunk anyway, so he can't defend himself. There's nobody around, so hey, let's have our way with it. Look, there's no excuse for what they've done, and he should be in prison. Absolutely. What I'm going to point out to you is look at this. Two of the men did not have an address, so they were just wandering around. They had no, they were either homeless or they were just going from place to place. So something in their life was not functioning. Why were they not going to a homeless shelter to get help to get back on track? Those were young men and they had strength. They had enough strength to kill another man who was defenseless. So why didn't they use that strength to get back on track in life? Let me tell you why, because you just wanted to escape. And because encountered this guy was actually doing something in life, they realized, you know what, who does the guy think he is? Going to university, wanted to get something done. Now he's want to have a good time here too. Huh? Who does he think he is? So they have loaded on him. A. And one of the perpetrators was a white guy also. So this is not race related. It's based on the fact that there was another man willing to do something in life and they wanted to just escape. So I want you to understand this, believers. If you are on your way to achieve things in life or you're on your way moving forward, expect retaliation. In this case, the retaliation was fatal. This man is not amongst anymore. He's been he's been removed from the land of the living. So what I'm saying is that look, in this lifetime, when you are breaking through and things are working out for you, be happy. But listen, some people are not happy with your happiness. Some people are miserable because they don't want to face themselves and they don't want to find solutions. Look, if you come from a poor area, so what? It's not your fault you came from a poor area. You have opportunities in life to escape poverty the proper way. So, and by the way, when this guy was killed, it was 2020. Oh no, Britain was on its way to leave the EU already. But anyway, even if Britain left the EU, still as a British citizen, you had options till that time to go to mainland Europe to get something done over here too. These men all had opportunities to excel in life. But hey, just like Satan, they prefer to escape and throw a pity party. And this guy disrupted the pity party unbeknownst to him, and they felt like that they had to protect their quote unquote reputation. What I'm saying is, some people just want to escape and offload. They do not want actual solutions. If you're dealing with such people, please peacefully leave their presence. Okay? Now, let this be a warning for all of you, these two cases. Now, in this case, the life of this young man was highly esteemed by the community. So these four men, man, these students stand a chance. All right? Even though this guy is white, still, he, he wasn't highly esteemed because he was an embarrassment to the quote unquote white race. That's why they brought him with the others. Look, what I'm pointing out here is that, okay, let me stop the screen sharing. Worldlings are sabotaging themselves. Not every worldling is a narcissist. No. Not every worldling's out there to get you. No. But worldlings all have this self sabotaging mindset based on seeking relief. So even if you're around worldlings who don't mean you harm, they may enable harm from others who do mean you harm. Their self sabotaging mindset endangers themselves. So if you're around them for too long, you'll be in danger too with them. So should you avoid all worldlings? No, that's not possible. Neither should we even strive to do that. Just be aware how you relate amongst worldlings. Don't be antisocial, so this and because that will trigger hostility towards you, but don't be too involved with them either, so they can't feel like they can use something against you. Be flexible and practical when you are around worldlings. And remember, public stupidity does not exist. Society treats you based on the psychological revenue they perceive in you. Haven't you noticed that a lot of people in the streets tend to wear expensive clothes, like expensive Jordans, Nikes? They have a watch of 200 euros, or they have a jacket of 500 euros. And you think, why are you're on welfare or you work a 9 to 5 job, but you have so many expensive clothes? Why are they doing that? A lot of people say, man, you're stupid wearing all that expensive clothing. You should save all that money to start your own business or whatever. But let me tell you why they do that. You're dealing with an anthropologist over here and a sociologist. Let me tell you one thing. When you are perceived as someone with high psychological revenue, they will treat you better. So if you walk down the street and they see you walking around with a golden chain, which is fake gold, but if you walk around with expensive jewelry, whatever, psychologically, worldlings will tend to perceive you a bit higher. If you walk through the city with a three-piece suit and a nice watch, a fake Rolex, the public will perceive you as someone with high psychological revenue. Even if they're not sure whether you have a lot of money, at least they think you're willing to dress to be part of the high class. So they perceive you as someone that they can get revenue from. And based on that, they'll treat you better. If you, they did social experiments on YouTube, okay? There was this guy, just for an experiment, he was a plumber and he stepped onto this woman asking for a number to go out. The woman says, I'm not interested, bye. That same guy later drove an expensive car, looking the exact same way. And the woman was saying, hey, who are you? What's going on? The woman's all onto him. And he said, hold on a minute. I'm the same guy you you called a creep earlier on. There are a lot of such sort of experiments online. For example, yet Cristiano Ronaldo, that Portuguese football player, is quite famous. He went undercover dressed like a homeless guy one time and began to play with the football in public. Everyone's looking at this homeless. I think, what's the homeless guy doing? And there was this little boy that came to him and played football with him. Then the the how to say the so-called homeless guy stopped, picked up a pen, began to put his autographs. People think, what is the homeless guy doing? And then he took off the costume. Everyone realized, whoa, it's Cristiano Ronaldo. And the public, they lost it. They were so amazed. It's Cristiano Ronaldo over here. What does Cristiano Ronaldo do? He walked away without addressing anyone else. He only addressed the little boy. So when the public does not perceive psychological revenue in you, they do not value you. That's why the way you dress matters. The way you dress, it also affects women. If a woman goes out there, if a woman goes outside and she wears her pajamas and she doesn't wear and she just isn't feeling any body parts, some will look at her and think, oh, it's someone's daughter or whatever. If a woman walks outside and she has a short dress or high heels or some make whatever, sexual triggers go off in the public and she's perceived as someone of high psychological revenue. Also, they may perceive sexual revenue in her. Automatically, people put her higher on the list. It's sad, but that's how things go in the world. And many of us believers also had similar attitudes we had to unlearn. Straight up. That's how it goes. So even as a woman, I don't care whether you're white or black or Hispanic or Chinese or Indian, whatever. As a woman, people look at what psychological revenue can I get out of you and which sexual revenue do you have. If your sexual revenue is low, at least there must be high psychological revenue. If you have no psychological revenue, only sexual revenue, they treat you like a piece of meat they can use. So if you're a woman and they don't perceive high psychological revenue out of you, but you have some sexual revenue, they treat you like a piece of meat, a tool they can use to relieve themselves. If you have no sexual revenue but you have high psychological revenue, they will treat you out of uh, feelings of guilt. They will regard you. If you have no sexual revenue in their eyes nor social revenue, you're non-existent. You're worse than trash. They treat trash better than you. That's why in some cultures you're not allowed to ask about a woman's age, because the public knows that for a lot of people, the longer a woman lives, especially if she's beyond 30, they don't perceive her as sexually important anymore. And when your sexual revenue in the public's perception decreases as a woman, they tend not to value your life that much anymore. Hey, I'm sorry, but that's the world we live in. So you have all these social norms to cover this up. So if a woman says, I'm 22, the public tends to be more excited and willing to help her out. If she says, I'm 38, they'll feel disappointed. They'll just help her out, just not feel guilty for mistreating her, but that's it. If she is 22, but she's mentally ill and she's completely out of her mind, then they'll perceive her as easy meat. Oh, we can get some sex out of her. Oh, she can entice us. If she's 38 and out of her mind with low sexual value to the public, it's over. I'm just saying it for what it is. So that's how the public is. So the public is not stupid. They know what they're up to. They know what they're doing. They can feel when something is off. They just pretend like they're all innocent, that just want to escape. Now, don't take this information and become bitter, resentful, and paranoid towards the public. No. Just realize that there are good people out there. There are quite some good people out there, including many of them are believers. But realize that the overall tendency of worldlings is they want to escape. They look at your psychological value, and if you're a woman, look at both your psychological value and your sexual value. They don't look at the sexual value of men at all. As a man, if you have no psychological value, the only way you can compensate is by having a lot of money. If you don't have that, then you are a useless eater. Yeah, you are annoying to them. As a woman, they can tolerate you a bit longer as you're a woman because they can always use the sexual expectation for themselves. That's what it comes down to. So, public stupidity does not exist. It doesn't. So, stop believing in this myth of the masses being innocent because the masses are not innocent. They are not. So, stop believing in it. And again, this is not based on ethnicity, whether you're black, white, or Hispanic, or Chinese, or whatever. This is how worldlings are. They do this to their own, and they will do it to those outside the group, but often do it to their own. So not everyone on the earth is a narcissist just like going out there to exploit you. No, don't think like that. That's a very bad and depressed way of thinking. It will make you sick. However, realize the overall tendency is if they don't see any psychological revenue in you, they don't value your life. You can manipulate this by triggering them to perceive you better, and you can do that, but realize that that's what it is. They don't actually love you. As a woman, they look at your psychological revenue and your sexual revenue. So as a woman, you can compensate with your sexual revenue to some extent, especially when you're below age 30. Or if you're above age 30, you have to put on a lot of makeup to appear younger. That's just how fallen mankind is. Don't hate the world. Don't fight the world. Just walk by faith, agree with Christ, and you overcome the world. This is what we do. Are there any questions about this topic? I know this live stream has been a bit longer. It's almost 1.5 hours, but are are there any questions about this topic? If you have questions, please ask them now because I will stay here to answer them. If there are no questions, I will close down the live stream. I'll be making some phone calls to fellowship with some believers. Yes, I love being in fellowship with fellow believers. With worldlings, I have contact, but I will not fellowship with worldlings. Absolutely not. What is there to fellowship? They are stuck in seeking relief, and I'm here in life in abundance. They want to be left alone, and I want to engage in life. That doesn't get along. And by the way, there are more believers on the earth with economic power than you realize. Let me tell you, those devil worshippers have a financial leverage. That's all they have. They don't have actual economic power. They don't. Believers with economic power, there are more of them around than you realize. And that's why the devil worshippers through the Catholic system are pretending to be Christian so that the believers with economic power don't stop them. Because if all believers on the earth would use their economic power against the beast system would be over completely. That's why the beast system has to hide itself by pretending to be believers too. And that's why a lot of believers will notice that those devil worshippers, those so-called Christians, are actually devil worshippers. Devil worshippers pretend to be believers so that the actual believers with economic power don't shut them down. So Satan relies on um, usurping and draining the economic power of real believers. And there are more believers walk the earth with economic power than devil worshippers with the financial leverage. That's why the devil worshippers have to come and say, oh, he's a billionaire or he's a self-made millionaire. Why this obsession with finances? Because that's the only trick they have on the masses. Because when the actual believers with economic power would realize how valuable they are, this is all over. And that's why if mainstream media and the entertainment industry that's out there to let you think, oh, in life you need to collaborate with Satan because with God you will only suffer during this life. That's what they want you to think. The truth is there are more believers with economic power on the earth than you realize, but they're hidden. Even in the Netherlands, you have a lot of believers with economic power. They're just hidden. You just don't see them. Okay, someone asked, should you dress better as a believer to gain value in in the world? Okay, we when we dress better as believers, we do that to get something done in daily life, namely by the world perceiving us as high psychological revenue. They treat us better. By them treating us better, we have less issues to deal with in life, and we can use this ease to do God's will. That's why we do it. Why we don't dress better to impress them so they can accept us. We don't do that. Why we do dress better for the practical reason that it deters um, bad treatment, and we can use this ease we have by them perceiving us as psychologically valuable so that we can actually do God's will in ease. Simple as that. The world dresses to impress. Believers dress to get ahead. That's what we do. All right. So thank you all for being here. There was not much audio interference this time. I'm happy with that. Keep on agreeing with Christ. Be at peace. The Shabbat has begun, and I'll see you next time. Have a nice weekend.